So the last topic we have is socialization. We kind of joke about this in the homeschool community because people are always like, oh, homeschoolers aren't going to be socialized. I don't really know many homeschool families that aren't very busy. Mm-hmm. So we'll hit these questions. The first question is very specific to with COVID stuff, and that is that they're afraid the kids won't grow socially if they're homeschooled this year, especially with COVID restrictions going on.
I think everyone is dealing with relationship and socialization issues, not students, not children. I mean, we as adults, we're all dealing with that right now. And it just kind of, it is what it is. And we're going to have to get creative and do what we can inside of the restrictions that we're given. And just know that this is not how homeschool usually homeschool, because there were days that I thought, where's the home in homeschooling, because we're never at home. But I think, again, like I said, we're just going to have to become creative in doing that.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, we've got so much technology that can keep us connected while we're apart. So if it comes to where we regress in the phases and we're back to the beginning and everyone's staying at home, there's Zoom, there's FaceTime, there's, you know, Skype. I guess no one uses Skype anymore because there's Zoom, but there's different platforms out there. Or this could also be an opportunity for kids to be pen pals. I know that's super old school, but that can be part of your program where they're writing a letter to a friend, you know, or, you know, maybe you get one of those composition books and they're sharing it between friends and they're writing to each other and you just drop it off at each other's houses every week or something. I mean, like you said, Leanne, we might just have to get creative on the interactions. But everyone is, I mean, that's kind of if you see the beauty of this, is the silver lining of this pandemic is that it kind of it levels the playing field. Everyone's dealing with COVID. So everyone's dealing with this whole, you know, we might be in our homes with each other more and not as much, you know, doing social things. So, you know, everyone's kind of in the same boat in that sense.
I would add to that. How do we define socialization? Do we think that our children need to only interact with kids that are their own ages? I think this is a great time for them to build sibling relationships. It will probably get worse before it gets better. But I remember at one point reading my kids making brothers and sisters best friends because they were just like ready to all attack one another. But, you know, as adults, for the most part, they're pretty close. My two oldest girls live, you know, a few minutes away, and they spend time together now. And, you know, it's so worth what they are developing in the younger years and how they learn to interact with adults. It just puts them on a whole different playing field. So they are socializing. It's just not in the peer-to-peer you know, vision that we're seeing that as, but they're getting a whole lot more than we give them credit for just inside of our family.
And if you're concerned because maybe you only have one child or your oldest is still little, this could be an opportunity to have more conversations, just the two of you. Or, you know, I mean, maybe you try out new recipes or bake together or create something together. So again, there's a lot of opportunity here. So yeah, I like what you said, Leanne, about how are we defining socialization.
The next question we had is about co-ops and whether people should join a co-op this year, whether they're going to even happen this year, and how to know which one is best.
Oh, well, there's so many. There's several different co-ops in our area. And if you want to know more, we can chat about that separately. But you know, they're kind of in the same boat as churches and schools right now of whether they're going to be able to reopen. So you certainly can look into that, but be prepared to just be flexible, because they may not know what their year holds for them this year. And so, yeah, I think that kind of wrapped it all into one answer here. I think some of them might be able to start planning to operate as normal, and there might be some who are waiting to see kind of what August looks like. So
I would say if you don't know anything about co-ops at all, there are a couple different categories I would label them in. There are academic co-ops where you go, one day a week and you do classes. Things like CC, Classical Conversations, would be one of those. There's a big one in Annandale at Capital Baptist. That's more like elective classes. That's not really your core classes, but it's one day a week and they do classes there. So you have ones that are academic. You also have things that are social. IBCHE falls under social. We don't teach classes. I did a whole video on what is IBCHE, so I'm not going to repeat myself too much there, but we do more social events. And so for us, we have the luxury a little bit of just looking at those events one at a time. So we don't have to cancel an entire year's worth or entire fall's worth of activities. We can kind of just hold off and wait and see how things go, and we can change, do some stuff outside or whatever, because we're not teaching classes. Then there's a whole another branch of co-ops that are more like drop-off classes. And, like Pauline said, it's going to be up to facility usage for all the things. So it's just a wait and see. Some things may cancel, some things may go ahead. It just depends on the facility that they use and what their restrictions, are going to be. So.
But you can also, you can ask your friends, hey, who's trying out the homeschooling thing this year? And does anybody, if the parks are open, hey, you want to do a park day? I mean, you can do that, And so early on, we did that too, where we were, before we did a co-op, we did the whole 5 days, and we did 4 days of homeschool, and then we did one day where we wanted to do field trips once a week. And we just did it on our own and called up a few friends. If they wanted to join, they're welcome to. But so again, I don't know what the fall is going to hold for all these, museums or parks or things like that. But there are a lot of those. There are a lot of things out there, if they are open, that you can join independently, or you can just throw it out there amongst your friends who who are homeschooling, and say, hey, you want to meet up and do a impromptu field trip?
I think it's important too to know that some of especially the drop-off tutorial ones, can be very pricey in this area, sometimes even more so than taking a college credit class. So know that before you make a commitment to join one of these groups, that it can be quite expensive, and especially not knowing what you're going to be able to get out of it, what kind of restrictions they're going to have. And I think one of the things that might be beneficial this year are the smaller organic co-ops and I mean in a true co-op, where this mom says, I'm going to have you at my house this week, and then we'll go to your house the next week. And, just like 2 to 5 small families. And then, if things get bad, it'll be easy to disband. You're not really out anything. But at the same time, you'll be able to take it week by week with some families that have kids your age or have similar interests or whatever, and be able to enjoy those small groups. And sometimes the smaller groups are where you can make the best relationships and the best friends.
Yeah.
I'll plug the IBCHE Facebook page or just our group in general, and those are places you can feel free to send an email out to the list and say, hey, I live in Alexandria, and I'm looking for other families who might be interested in joining us at a park on whatever morning, and see if you have any interest. So feel free to use our Facebook page for stuff like that, or send out a list to people and see if you can find anybody that's nearby. We do have a small group that meets in Burke, and you're welcome to join us. But we'll have information about that coming out soon. So.
Oh, one thing that just popped into my head, this might go all the way back to curriculum, but if you find out there's a couple other families or even just one other family that's doing homeschooling and you live near each other and you've got kids covering the same material. So for example, in high school and you're doing chemistry, you're both having to do chemistry, maybe one of you decides, hey, I really like chemistry, I'm willing to take that on, and you form your own little co-op, where you're coming together and your kids are getting to do science together. So this is an opportunity, you can think out of the box here, and as far as how to make your homeschool work. We've lived places where friends did that often, where there was a mom who took on music, and there was another mom who decided to do science. And so every Tuesday they went to do their music, and every Thursday they went over to do science, and it worked beautifully, and it was organic in that, it's just a couple of families that were doing the same material and wanted to kind of give their kids that opportunity to be amongst their peers. It wasn't an everyday thing, but it was maybe a one time a week type of thing. So those are options too. So, yeah.
Okay. Those are all the questions. I don't know if there's anything else we want to add in that we forgot, but this is probably pretty long already. I think there was one more thing Christina had wanted to add in, is that was affirmative parenting.
Mm-hmm.
She had mentioned, rather than getting after kids for not doing things right, looking for the affirmative ways to encourage while you're teaching, and we probably should have added that to the attitudes part, but I just remember that one.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you both have said about it's relational. A lot of what we do is relational, and a lot of what we're doing is not just the academics, but it's also the character building. We're hoping that we're teaching them to have godly character, because as they grow up, that they'll hopefully grow that, and that will stick with them. And so this could be a really great opportunity this year as you embark on homeschooling for the first time, to see this as an opportunity to pour into your children what you hope will last with them for the rest of their life when it comes to loving the Lord and putting Him first in their life. And I mean, that is something you cannot, you get the opportunity to do. And so hopefully you see it as that.
So we are acutely aware of how stressful this is for a lot of families right now. The schedule that you have to make decisions by is ridiculously small, short. And so we understand how difficult this is. We understand a lot of the different dynamics, financial, personality, work schedules that are playing into all of this. And so we really feel for you and wanted you to know that we are praying for you. We'd like to take the opportunity right now to pray for your families, if that's okay. Leanne, did you want to pray?
Sure. Okay. Lord God, I thank you so much for your goodness. I thank you for your grace. And I thank you for giving us your son, Jesus. Cover our sin, to take our place. And Lord, I thank you, even in this difficult situation, in the time that we're in, I thank you that you are a sovereign God, that nothing is happening outside of your plan, and that you have everything illustrated, and you've known every single decision that we're going to make before we were ever born. Lord, I just pray for these families right now. I pray that you would give them wisdom. I pray that you would give them direction in a timely manner, and that things would work out with their job schedules, with just all the other things that they have coming at them, Lord, that they have to work into their daily time. And Lord, I pray that you would give them clear direction as to how they should move forward. And Lord, I just pray that if homeschooling is something that they choose to do, that you would let them know that they're not alone. First and foremost, you are with them. constantly. You will not leave them, even in the rough days. And Lord, I pray also that they would know that there are other families out there that will encourage them and help them along this road, all to give you glory. And Lord, I just pray that would work in our own lives. I pray that you would reveal our sin. I pray that we would confess that sin and that we would repent of it and move forward, Lord, as we raise our children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, that you would be pleased with our efforts. I pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, ladies, for answering all these questions. Thank you for those of you who wrote in and entrusted us with your questions. And if you need anything else or have more questions or want to be in touch with somebody, you can send me an email at IBCHE, that's IBCHE, at ibc.church. I'll put that on at the end of this video. And I hope that we've been somewhat helpful for you.